Hey, everybody. Welcome. What do you think? Got a surprise guest here next to me. Sorry I'm late. I was doing a little training with him and said, oh, look, it's 9:01. I forgot. So welcome. Welcome to, I have no idea how many episodes this is of Coffee with the Critters. 3 years and 1 week to be exact. Good morning, Tim. Good morning, Chris. Hey, everybody. Hey, Dee Dee. Dee Dee is a new member, I do believe, and Lori. I saw you ask a question this morning, Lori, in regards to changing vocalization. And I do believe you're a member of the Animal Behavior Center, Lori. So we have podcasts on their specific topic. Good morning, Deb. Sharon! I couldn't find my squirrel this morning, so we're going to have to settle for giraffe. What do you think, Rock? So, hey, everybody. This is my surprise co-host, Murray. For those of you that know, I've been working with him in the Parrot Project and rebuilding a relationship with him. So Pipsqueak behind me is a little, I don't know. I don't want to say jealous, but his mood changed as soon as I brought Murray out. Nice job. So for those of you that are new, my name is Lara Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. Good morning, everybody. Owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We're an international educational center teaching people through our live stream subscription services about living, loving, and learning with animals using applied behavior analysis and positive reinforcement. So this morning, our co-hosts are Murray, our green wing macaw, who's getting ready to turn 14, I believe, and Rico, who's abandoned the set. And he's our umbrella cockatoo that's going to be turning 14 as well this May. And Milo, the mini pig. Good job, Milo. So I requested a behavior. Let me reinforce it. Nice job. So we were just talking about this the other day in, I believe it was our level 1 membership about behaviors that you want to remain very strong, need to be kept on a continuous schedule of reinforcement, meaning every single time the behavior is requested, a reinforcer is delivered. Reinforcers are so much more than food. And we use food here a lot, but definitely not limited to. If you're relying on food as your only reinforcer, you're going to catch yourself in a jam several times. For example, I had recently taken Quincy to the vet. She was supposed to be fasted for some work she was having done, so I could not reinforce with food. So I was using everything else in the environment that I could. Number 1 was attention, proximity, tone of voice. There goes Mary. Tone of voice, attention from other people. So that's key. Be careful to not only be using food as a reinforcer, because you're going to find yourself not being able to reinforce behavior, right? Yeah. So how do I know? What I'm trying to do here is keep Murray by my side. Oops. How do I know if I'm reinforcing that behavior? Good morning. Hey, Jenny. I just saw Jenny yesterday in the Parrot Project for a consultation. And I'm seeing that you did find some valuable reinforcers. Nancy, yes, 3 weeks ago today. I was thinking about that this morning. 3 weeks ago today, I was sitting in sunny Key West, Florida. And, oh boy, do I miss it. Coco! Tim says, He answered the question, how do I know I'm reinforcing this behavior? Because that behavior is maintaining or increasing. Correct, Tim. Yep. So also be sure to make sure you keep your reinforcers varied, right? Because my work with Murray, I'm going to get started here in a minute, but my work with Murray, for those of you that have been following along on our Facebook page, and we live stream this in the Parrot Project, Murray and I had a relationship that went downhill fast because I stopped training him. And I stopped training him because other people were. Murray. Because other people were. Well, that if you're actually using positive reinforcement training, it'll build your relationship with the animal. A nice, strong working relationship. And so this went from totally off contact training. He no longer wanted me in his enclosure. Clear body language. He would have bit me if he had a chance. So I started with off contact, doing a lot of this. You touch? Good. That vocalization from Suki in the background is stop touching Murray. Yeah? So then when I hear these vocalizations like this from him, I know from past contingencies, association, meaning those means he's excited and looking forward to the training. So now I've lost his attention. He's paying attention to Suki. They are a bonded pair. Good. So I began my training with off contact, and I moved to protective contact, and then I trained him to step up onto a perch so I can move him and get him out of his enclosure, because the longer an animal sits in an enclosure, a lot of times the more protective they get of that enclosure, right? So I wanted to get him out. Good. So I trained him through a series of steps to step up onto a T-perch that I made for him. And this morning was, I think, the first time that I actually just went into his enclosure and offered my arm. And he stepped right up and came right out here. So another thing is, just because this is my first time training him a target, a beak target outside of his enclosure. Just because he knows that behavior inside of his enclosure, don't assume you're going to get the same behavior outside of the enclosure. You are now teaching a whole new behavior. Right, Murray? My camera's in danger. Or my laptop. Yeah, of course. Got a perch right there. I may have to move. Yes, I may have to move. Maybe not. Teaching a station, meaning teach an animal to go to a particular place and not move until, hey, I saw you in my viewfinder, until requested to do otherwise. We teach a lot of stations here with all the different animals, even our fish. So here is Milo's station, that orange spot on the floor. Our zoo training is going to start back up this week. So those of you in the memberships and the projects, I don't know what's going on with my hair today. Be prepared to see training start again. Over here. Good. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started, because this morning we have 4 psychology students coming in from a local private school, and I am going to show some of that. So we start the Coffee with the Critters with a recap of the week. Hey, there's awesome Deb Jones. What is Murray's treat today? Pine nuts. And for Jenny, who's on here, we just did a online consultation yesterday. That is a pine nut, Jenny, and what it looks like outside of the shell. We usually keep them in large capacities, but a lot of times when I'm reinforcing an animal with a food reinforcer, positively reinforcing, I want that treat to be ingested so fast. Like this. For a green wing macaw, that's like 2 bites down the hatch, next. And like we were talking yesterday, Jenny, keep your training sessions short and very frequent. So short could be 15 seconds to a minute. And we were talking about the importance of enrichment. Enrichment plays a big role in any animal, mammal, fish, bird, whatever we have here, plays a big role in all of our behavior modification plans. Teaching an animal to interact with enrichment and forage is one of the first things we do because it helps keep them empowered. But let's go ahead. I want to do a recap of what's going on here this week because there's a lot of good information. So let me go ahead and see if I can make myself smaller or not. Okay, so here I wanted to say the importance. The weather is starting to change. It's starting to get a lot warmer. Unfortunately, this is the time people think about taking their dogs to the park, where the training should have started when teaching a dog to walk loosely and pay attention to you at a park is not when it's ready to go to the park. That's what we train in our house and in our center throughout the winter. So now we're ready to go to the park. But the importance of this picture is that the weather's getting warmer. We're starting to get more and more animals out into the center. It's getting warm out there. Without the heat on, we can easily get up to 65 degrees and have it be 30 degrees outside. So here's Karen and Amanda with Rocky, slowly moving Rocky, our Moluccan cockatoo, back out into the center. And for those of you that keep animals inside during the winter, outside during the summer, each year, do not expect that transition to be, I mean, it can be very smooth, but a lot of times people are like, the animal already knows the outdoor enclosure, so they go ahead and open up the door and assume the animal is going to be comfortable going out. Here, a lot of times, that is not the case. We have to reshape it. So that's what Karen and Amanda are doing, and we're also working on getting more people socializing with some of the parrots here, so because I need help shifting and moving animals. So here's Amanda starting to interact with Rocky with a head scratch, pairing conditioned reinforcers. Conditioned reinforcers are things paired in association with. So we don't just move in and try to pet an animal. Several of the animals we train here are zoo animals, prey, and exotic. They don't necessarily, contact isn't necessarily something they want. But so here I'm showing Amanda how to slowly start shaping and what to look for. Before we ask for interaction with an animal, if we're looking for a pet, we put this on cue so we can ask the animal, can I pet? And Rocky will drop his head and start itching or scratching around his neck if he wants petted. And those are the antecedents that I'm telling Amanda to look for. Here's Crystal with Ollie, our budgie. Yeah, hang on. Got somebody on their station, a regular co-host. I definitely want to reinforce this. He wants me to sit there and hold it. But we're trying to get Ollie back out of his enclosure and out here flying around freely with us during the day. It's really cool to be sitting here when all of a sudden, zoom, a budgie flies right in front of your face. So Rico's showing signs of not necessarily caring for me having Murray out as the co-host today. So congratulations, Crystal, on all the work you're doing with him. Those of you that follow the work we do know that we collaborate with the Autism Model School here in Toledo, Ohio, through the Ought to Be Enriched program, providing job skills for their students. Yeah. And a lot of times throughout the winter, people don't get animals out, and it causes for less socialization. And the less socialized a socialized animal or social animal is, a lot of times you can get a lot of undesired behaviors. So this is great for the animals here at the Animal Behavior Center for socialization, because they help us make enrichment for the animals here, and to provide jobs, help provide job skills for them. And part of their job skills are to deliver the enrichment here. And in return, as a positive reinforcer, I take them to the center and have them interact with the demo. Hey, there's Amy from the Autism Model School. Yay, thanks for the shout out. There's Amy. She's been over here to the center several times. Her, Allison, and Joel Vidovic that you guys have seen on our live streams. So here's Clayton giving Levi, our deaf dog, a cue to sit. So it's a great way to, you'll see, it provides a lot of smiles for these students, and we love having the Autism Model School here and collaborating with them. So here's Clayton and Jordan interacting with Milo in an enclosure as well. And then there they are again trying to call Murray down onto his station. So it gives us opportunity to explain to them why teaching an animal as a station is important. We do that a lot when we need to get in and out of enclosures. So here's Clayton again. Clayton really enjoyed interacting with all the animals. Here's Clayton again, reinforcing Levi, our deaf bulldog. And here's Clayton and Allison with wanting to cue Rico to do somersaults on cue. The importance about this photo is, look at the smiles on those faces. Those smiles on their faces are the reinforcer behind why we do what we do. Hello, Jonah from South Africa. Well, welcome. First time viewer, Ashlyn, great. Love your tip about having a pet cue. Yeah, stick with us, Ashlyn. We'll share a lot of what we do. So, and then, yeah, Rico, here's Clayton with Cello, our roller pigeon. We have Cello, the roller pigeon, here to help share in the great work of B.F. Skinner's work with animals. And there's the enrichment that they delivered. I want to get through these. Oh, here's something that's really fun that's happening this week. These are the psychology students from a private local school, Lourdes College. These are psychology majors that were in here yesterday that do not work with animals but wanted to see how applied behavior analysis works across the board. We've got 4 more students coming in today. And here I want to explain what's happening in this photo. Hi, this is Chuck. And you'll see we had Chuck and Amada here yesterday. Sorry, reinforcing a bird behind me. When Chuck and Amada first got here, something scared Rocky and he flew off his perch. So I said, let's use applied behavior analysis and get Rocky coming back closer to you. So we had Amada work at the front table and Chuck worked back at here's tips on rearranging environment to get the behavior that you want. We asked Chuck to wash the dishes and put on a continuous schedule of reinforcement every time Rocky said something to him, for him to turn around and say something back. And you can see up above the right of the bucket is Rocky, where Rocky is starting to come closer back to Chuck versus staying on the opposite side of the cage. Peekaboo, Rocky. And the one thing I love about this photo is look at the smile on Chuck's face. He told me yesterday when he was here, he's like, I'm really not interested in working with animals. And I said, why did you decide to come here? And he said, because I want to learn how applied behavior analysis works across the board. By the end of the day, he's coming back today at 10. By the end of the day, he said it was a great experience and really fun to learn and see how this is applied across the board. Peekaboo, Rocky. So here's Amada with Rico. Rico is our off-contact animal. We like to teach people how you can work with an animal off contact, not even having to touch them. So we showed examples of how to do that yesterday. But here, Rico is on his station. And I told Amada, I said, let's build this relationship between you and Rico because it can go south really fast. I said, every time Rico says hi, you reinforce. And she did. And she did it great. And the same thing with Chuck. Hi, Rocky. And then here is Crystal Phelps helped me yesterday with, because this is a lot, teaching a lot of people this. Crystal Phelps. Thanks, Murray. Got a bird above my head again. Just got a toy dropped on my head. Here they are, changing food dishes. And the importance here is on the right, they have Murray on his station while changing food dishes, and here's the end of the day. Rico's on his station in the back. That's right, Rock, while Chuck's changing food dishes, the importance of a station. Woo! Look at you! Sorry, I should flip the screen so you can see what's happening behind me. Yeah. What do you think, Rico? Put your wings on. Get back over here. Come here. Peekaboo, Rocky. So there he is. Yay! Nice job. So we reinforce. There's an example of reinforcing with attention. Yeah. What do you think? And you guys know we've been having behavior concerns with Milo. He has started lunging at a few people, especially if they're new. So here's Courtney and Jordan being introduced to Milo and introducing with a hand target and immediately following up with a food reinforcer. Yep, and then Snow has had a recent injury. Hi, Rocky. She's fine, but she's had to be crated and kept separate. So the other day, this is the importance of keeping your animal used to change. So we just started slowly introducing familiar objects to her once again. Let me just get through these. And that's Kendall and Vicky. Hi, Rocky. And then here was Murray. This is the hi, Rocky, the other day. And now look how this has moved to him being transferred on my arm. So that's the importance of positive reinforcement training. It builds relationships. And you guys saw Deb Jones and I talking a couple of weeks ago. What is this? Almost 2 months ago on classical and operant conditioning, the importance. And when you start training an animal, hi, Rocky, hi, Rico, using positive reinforcement, studies show that it's the animal's preferred form of enrichment. Their state of mind during that training is so important because you'll hear me say, just because you're using positive reinforcement, hi, Rocky, doesn't necessarily mean it's a positive experience for the animal. Negative reinforcement can definitely start to be involved. Negative reinforcement is you get the, hi, Rocky, you still get the behavior you want. Oh, boy, you still get the behavior you want because the animal is escaping, avoiding a consequence. That is one you want to stay as far away from as possible. Good job. Rocky. What do you think, Milo? Oh, boy. So I've got a pig right here at the base of my feet. And then I wrote about that in PPG's, Pet Professional Guild's Barks. There's Murray on the right-hand column, my article about him, and I believe we're on there. Okay, here's Milo. I taught Milo how to shut a door to help me from when I'm busy with my hands full, because Cello likes to come in the bird room. It's not a safe place for Cello to be. So I put the cue, shut the door to Milo, and he'll go over and shut the door for me. And I believe, and the last thing from the summary of this past week is we started our live webinars again. Our next one coming up, this one was on teaching your bird to forage. It's important to teach all animals to forage, but our next one is addressing aggression with your pig, and all species-specific webinars are free to those that are members of the projects and the memberships, depending on the topic. Okay, so that's our recap of the week. I try to keep it as short amount of time as possible. So I'm sitting here reinforcing Milo, who is standing at the base of my feet, and I am reinforcing that with be specific, okay? I'm reinforcing that with petting, but not only petting, touch, good. Not only petting, but where. So he's just moved from me. And we were talking about this week, the importance of not only using food as a reinforcer all the time, because if you use food as a reinforcer all the time with behavior issues with pigs, a lot of times, because they're so food motivated, a lot of times that can reinforce frustration and aggression. Behaviors labeled as aggressive when food is not available. Okay, so the importance there is keeping the animal used to a wide variety of reinforcers. And one that we incorporate in with Milo is touching, petting. We don't want him thinking he's getting food all the time. So this is our Q&A. Who has a question? Go ahead and pop it up there. Let's get started. Yeah, so back on what Ashlyn had said, good first-time viewer, love your tip about having a pet on cue. We have a pet on cue for several animals here, and one reason is I can now use that as a lure, meaning a lure is showing the animal the positive reinforcer to get the behavior. Lures do have their downfalls. I'm not a big fan of using lures a lot. I like to shape behaviors instead, meaning reinforcing small approximations towards the target behavior, towards the desired behavior, because the fallout of a lure, using a lure, so if I was to use a food reinforcer like this as a lure, okay, I want you to come closer to me, or fly down to me, or run to me. The fallout of using a lure is that the animal has to see it to give you the behavior. And then they can sit there and look at it and say, nope, I'm not doing it. It's not a high enough valued reinforcer for me. When I ask an animal to come to me, I need that animal to come to me right now, because its life could be dependent on it. Right, Rico? Yeah, and so that's why I don't use the word emergency recall, because I want that recall 100% of the time, whether it's an emergency or not. Does anybody have any questions? Or has my screen froze on anybody making comments? So that's why we put pet on cue. So if we have an animal that's sitting right here, like for example, we talked about Rocky wanting a pet, that lets us know we can pay attention to that body language and know that if that animal is saying, yes, you can move in for a pet, or no. Because another thing is that it provides choice back into the animal's environment. I am going to assume that I cannot see comments coming in because I haven't seen one since this one. And that was a while ago. So feel free to message them to me in Messenger, and I'll read them coming through on my phone or on my watch. Okay. So this way, if an animal is on or near you, one of the things, if they like attention a lot and you're sitting there giving it to them, but then you request a behavior, why would they want to give you that behavior if you're sitting here over delivering the reinforcer, which is the interaction? So a lot of times, if interaction, physical contact, is a reinforcer for the animal. Okay, so we got a question coming in. Desensitization, counter conditioning versus putting a behavior on cue in a veterinary setting. Got to remember this. Okay, all your questions are coming in now. Hang on. So JC is a veterinarian, I do believe. Desensitization, counter conditioning versus putting a behavior on cue in a veterinary setting. Advantages, disadvantages of each. So desensitization is taking small steps in getting an animal comfortable with a feared object. We do that through shaping. And the importance there, JC, is taking really small steps. The animal is always the one that decides what the reinforcer is, making sure we're using a highly valued reinforcer, especially in a veterinary setting. So we do a lot of counter conditioning here. And desensitizing. So for example, for you, JC, a lot of animals, if they just see this, a syringe, boom, they're gone. So we have taken many steps in desensitizing this. So a lot of times I used to keep my syringes in the refrigerator to, hey, you know what? Get my phone here too so I can log on and read what you guys are saying. Okay, how do I go about setting up a station? All right, let me talk about shaping and desensitizing. So I used to keep my empty syringes in the refrigerator to help prevent any type of bacterial growth. If I walked towards the refrigerator, a lot of times that was the cue that there's an intermittent schedule reinforcement, meaning that this behavior happens once in a while. When I walked to the fridge, all the animals would look, and I knew they were thinking, is the syringe coming out now? So I had to desensitize from that far away. I would walk over to the fridge, touch my hand on the door, good, go over and reinforce calm behavior. And you always start with calm. Okay, all of a sudden I'm seeing everybody's, it's coming through on my screen now. So that's where I start. Start where you can reinforce calm. So we've been working on this with a lot of the animals here. So even seeing this could be a cue for the animals to run or fly away. Counter conditioning is when you retrain. We just talked about counter conditioning in the Animal Behavior Center's support network. In JC, I'm sure you run into this all the time, because once the animal learns that a particular interaction brings an undesired behavior, they've already learned it. That's why I always say, once you learn 2 + 2 = 4, you cannot forget that. You already know that. And sometimes it only takes once for that very desired behavior to be positively punished for a long period of time. Positive punishment meaning the future rate of that behavior decreases because something was added to the environment. Hi, and That's right, Rock. Right, Rocky. A positive punisher is always an aversive. An aversive is something the animal doesn't like. So to answer your question, counter conditioning, meaning we have to retrain. One thing, JC, you'll want to remember is when you are retraining, when you are counter conditioning, you have to take as much control over that animal's environment as possible. Hey, Daphne. As possible, because, and this is the tough thing, is because you have to get everybody on board, and you have to make sure that aversive is not delivered once in a while, because if you do, now it's on a intermittent schedule reinforcement, which can keep desired and undesired behaviors very strong. JC, a lot of the work we do here in our live streams is using positive reinforcement to shift animals, meaning moving one animal from one location to another. We have several animals here that do not get along, so they cannot have physical contact. That's the importance of creating a station, training a station. And second, the next thing we also do is we teach a lot of medical or vet preparation. Here is a thermometer. Goes up a lot of animals' butts around here. It's a necessity, especially with pigs. It's one of the first ways you can tell a pig is sick is by taking its temperature. So this week we did a lot of temperature taking. And for an animal that's sick, if this is not trained, this or several other things, a jugular blood draw, whatever, that can be very stressful. So JC, start with calm. Where do you begin training a syringe? Where do you begin training to step on a scale? Where do you begin training to accept restraint? Because we teach all the animals here to accept being restrained, because once in a while, we do have to take choices away from you, because the consequence of you moving during an exam could be very important. Yeah, so always start with reinforcing calm. And Deb says, when I pick up my purse and keys, my African gray says later bye. And Deb, that is a conditioned reinforcer. That is a behavior that is learned through paired associations. Okay? And here, I like to make my presence a conditioned reinforcer. I know some people have commented, like, whenever you walk in a room, all the animals run to you. And that's because I always find out what's awesome to the animal in that animal's environment, and I'll pull it virtually, stick it in my pocket, and deliver it throughout the day for behaviors I want to see maintain or increase. And that's why I tell people, your animals deliver awesomeness, so they still get all that awesomeness, that same amount of awesomeness throughout the day, but they're getting it for behaviors you want to see, for behaviors you need, that you want to see maintain or increase. Okay, let's take another question. I know somebody said, yeah. So Julie says, when I put my shoes on, my dog knows we're going for a walk or thinks I'm going for a walk. That's a conditioned reinforcer. That's something that has been trained through paired associations. Okay, do you remember? Lisa asks, how do you recommend moving birds outdoors for good adjusting? At their pace, definitely at their pace. So here, a lot of what we'll do, and this is the importance of keeping your animals used to change. We were talking about this yesterday with the psychology students. The one piece of behavior or one piece of advice I could give that I think is probably most important is keep your animals used to change using positive reinforcement. That way, when a change happens, when a change happens, it's not so stressful. Something else we do here with all the animals is, I think you guys may have heard me say this before, is we put the unexpected on cue. I do have a paper out there, an article that I wrote about that, putting unpredictability on cue. You can do that. And one of the ways we do it here is, I got to watch my tone of voice because all the animals here know what it means, is I train the words 1, 2, 3. On 3, something happens. You don't know what it is, but something is going to happen. And then I immediately pair that with a positive reinforcer. And it's usually, I forgot what I was going to say. Something of extremely high value. Oh, okay. So I had somebody say on here, Beth says, I'm new on here. Do you know about dogs? What we do here, Beth, is we train people how to understand using applied behavior analysis with all animals. All 3 of our dogs are in the house right now. We have Quincy, our Rottweiler, Levi, our deaf bulldog, and Snow, our deaf and blind border collie. And we have those animals here. They are great ambassadors to show people. I have several of my friends, several who are on here. Deb Jones, Daphne. They are all professional dog trainers. And what I do is I have a pig right here next to me, and I have a turkey vulture on the other side of that door, and a macaw sitting above my head. I teach people how to use applied behavior analysis across the board on all animals. So I use this bringing in an array of different animals. Just I chose today that our mammal was going to be Milo instead of a pup. Next week we'll have a pup out here with us. Okay, I'm just looking. Somebody had asked, unexpected on cue. Okay, Daphne says, put the unexpected on cue. Love it. Yeah. And if I remember, I'll upload that article that I wrote. But that is so important. Like we were talking here, when we built this room almost 6 years ago, 6 years ago, yeah, I tried to make sure all the animals were moved here after the construction was done. Something happened where construction needed to happen after the animals were already moved here. And as you guys know, that in this enclosure often goes an animal that comes to us from a zoo, whether that's a crow, a porcupine, a lemur, what have you. Putting the unexpected on cue, and you have to shape that. And you shape it with something that, get Rico. Rico, do you want to come on your station? Let's do a training example, okay? This is the importance of keeping your animals used to change. I don't want to necessarily do this with Milo, not yet. Rico knows it fairly well. Rico, come here. Come here. But if I do this here in this room right now, it's going to get loud because it's paired with excitement. Nice job. Nice job. So this is also the importance. We also do a lot of training during distraction for whoever made the comment about your dog pulls on the leash all the time at the park chasing cats. Then you don't start at the park chasing cats. You need to start in your living room shaping distraction. And that's why we do a lot of focus and control exercises here, especially with the dogs, but definitely not limited to. For example, hi. Let's do an example with the pig, okay? I was going to do one with Rico, but I've lost my candidate. Okay, let me move this camera. Let's do some... My video just got choppy, and I'm not sure why. Let's move it back. Not sure why all of a sudden, because I'm hardwired. but let me do it anyways. Let me get my treat pouch on real quick. Okay. I need my animals to pay attention and focus on me, especially during distraction. We'll do a lot of focus and control exercises in the yard while the lawn is being mowed. We do that on purpose. Let me see if I can take myself off screen real quick and come back on. That changes anything. Nope. Doesn't change a thing. Let me see if I can add something and take it back off. Okay, because I really want to show you this exercise. So this is the importance of a station. Okay, so there's Milo's station. Okay, so he just heard me say the word. Okay, so I've created a station. On your station. That means 4 feet you have to be on that. On your station. Good. This is a focus and control exercise. I will do this for dogs at the park. I'm going to drop something, okay? It's nothing of high value. That's where I'm going to start. Good. You have to shape this. Peek-a-peek-a-boo. Good. Okay? What I want is to keep him on, good. Keep him on that station. On your station. Good. While I drop this piece of paper. And then I'll start. Good. 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 I want him focusing where his feet are because he's off his station. On your station. Milo, on your station. Good. Watch the steps. Good. In the shaping process. Good. 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 Touch. Good. Okay, the video is still choppy, don't know why. But does that make sense? Hey, Kathy Hahn! Yay! I'll be in Key West this time next year. Well, next year with Kathy Hahn. Does that make sense? So when shaping, that is a step I would take to teach a dog not to chase a cat in a park. Teach it to do something else instead. That's the reason why we don't say the word no here, because it doesn't tell the animal what to do. Just using the word no alone could mean, just using the word no alone can cause a lot of frustration and could really increase the aggression of the animal if you're talking about working with aggression. Thanks, Rock. So Milo came off his station, 2 or 3 times? I didn't say no. I just taught him the contingency that if you're not giving me the behavior that I ask, your reinforcers stop. Okay, so that's going to teach the contingency, meaning if this, then that's right, Rocky. If this, then that, and you're going to see that animal go back to where the reinforcers were being delivered, because all animals move towards things they like and away from things they don't like. That is where we start. You start with an object that has of little value. So what I'm going to start doing after that is start throwing food on the floor while I ask him to remain on his station. That is going to help those are exercises that are going to that's right, Rocky, that are going to help you prevent your cat or your dog from chasing cats while you're walking it at the park. So my cue was just standing in front of him. Okay, somebody asked what my cue was. I was not giving any hand cues. It was just standing in front of him and asking a station. Adrian says that was awesome to watch. After a couple of reps, Milo looked at you when the paper hit the floor. That is shaping. We are always shaping behaviors, always. So yeah, with that being said, I've got the students coming in here at any minute. Thank you guys for watching the Coffee with the Critters and making it as popular as it is. If you think this could help anybody, please feel free to share this with them. If you like what you saw and this is what we do on a weekly basis, and it's very individualized. It's very individualized on the person, on the animal. You can find out more about that in our subscribing to our online memberships and projects, and you can find that information on our website at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. Thanks so much, Daphne. Hey, there's Ashley Nelly. There's another awesome professional dog trainer on here and a member. Hi, Rocky. So thank you for your shares. If you want to reach me personally, I answer all my emails. You can reach me at Lara, Lara, at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. This is what we do every week in our memberships and our projects, in addition to Q&As, live stream interviews. I take you with me because a couple of things that are getting ready to happen here, those of you that are, some of you that are members, hey, Rocky, this is getting ready to happen. Next month, I'm getting ready to take off to Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. I've been asked to be a presenter, one of several of presenters. The other ones are located there on the screen. A presenter and a trainer for one of the first ever workshops at Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. And that's in conjunction with Pet Professional Guild. So some of you guys, I will see you in Kanab, Utah next month. And also we have our upcoming here enrichment workshop, first ever enrichment workshop held here at the Animal Behavior Center. We'll be talking about enrichment, how it works across the board with an array of different species, from companion animals, dogs, cats, parrots. We'll be focusing as well on pigs, zoo animals, wildlife rehab centers. Yes, so you can find out more about what we do at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com, and you can email me if you have any questions. I am always happy to help. Thank you guys so much for attending, and we'll see you next week. All right, take care.